Hello and welcome. Hello, welcome. Whew. If you don't know me, if you're just popping in and aren't really sure what this is, my name is Mary. I'm a holistic therapist for 25 years, and I also am a Reiki master. I'm moving into more of intuitive guidance and coaching just because of some of the concerns I have about, insurance in particular. But I just want to be able to integrate all that I know, all the tools, the strategies that I can share with clients. And sometimes there's some restrictions with insurance. So I'm sort of transitioning. I'm in that process right now, which is always a curious place. It has been the messy middle for a really long time. And what I'm doing here today is talking a little bit about how do we navigate turbulent times. What are some tips? What are some tools? What are some strategies to help us navigate that? If you have any questions or any comments, you're free to put them into the chat and I'll answer them to the best of my knowledge, the best that I can. And then we're going to do a little bit of practice with that. We're actually going to do a little deep breathing, a little meditation, a little Reiki, which is always nice just to clear stuff out. Always a good time for healing, I think. I'm biased, but I always think it is. So I'm going to light a little bit of sage. I like to start this way. Again, if you haven't been here before, I just like to clear the energy, any energy that we've sort of picked up from the week, from the day, from other people, things that we don't want to carry, the things that we don't want to support that's not ours. It's also a nice way with smoke. We can cleanse, but we can also kind of send up a signal, send up to whatever your belief system is, if it's spirit, if it's universe, if it's guides, guardians, to come and be with you, to come and support you for whatever you're working on. So hopefully everybody is doing okay this week. This has been an interesting period, I think, just for me personally. It's been an interesting period because I know I'm impacted by the moon. I can feel those shifts and those changes within, what the planets are doing, that sort of thing. And even though we're coming up to a new moon. No, we're not. We're coming up to a full moon in Taurus, and lunar eclipse on Saturday. I want to say tomorrow. Yes. It should be a time of like culmination, of maybe endings. And I feel like that is happening, that is in the mix. But I'm not really sure like what's around the corner yet, like what's still coming. How is it going to look? What do I want to do as far as like putting my intention and putting my energy into something moving forward? So I sort of feel, like I said, I'm kind of in that messy middle where I'm like, I know I want something different, but I'm not sure really what that's going to look like quite yet. And that's okay. That just adds a little extra challenge to turbulent times. The reason I was going to do more about this full moon. I don't know why I want to keep calling it a new moon, but full moon and lunar eclipse. And then I had taken a reprieve or a break from the news. It was just getting too much for me to take in and be present for my clients, for myself, for my family. And I turned on the news a couple days ago, and I was like, "Oh, why did I do that?" It just was overwhelming, overloaded my senses, so to speak. So it sort of made me think about how we've been through other turbulent times, how we've been through other challenges. And of course, like anything, we'll kind of get through it. Sometimes we muddle our way through, but we're going to get through it. And I know a lot of people have that. Yeah, they always use that saying, like, "This too shall pass," which I get, and I appreciate that. It does sort of bring it back into a container that feels a little bit more manageable, that we're going to shift through this. But it doesn't help when you're in the middle of it, right? You can't see the end. You can't see how that's going to be able to have some sort of completion in a way that feels, I don't know, good for everybody, right? So that was kind of what my thought was with this. And I like to do a lot of experiential things, like things that get you doing the practice that I'm talking about. So, if you're in a place where you can close your eyes, I would encourage you just for a couple minutes to do that. We're going to practice just getting centered in the body. It is, again, a practice. So if you're like, oh, I'm not really good at going within, or I'm not really good at quieting the mind, or I'm not really good with breath work, like that's okay. It is a practice, and we can settle into that. The more that we work at it, the better we get at it, like anything, literally anything else in this world, right? But taking just a moment, if you can close your eyes, I'm going to go ahead. It helps me to tune out all the extraneous stuff that's happening. So if you can just close your eyes for a second, if it feels safe, if you're somewhere that it is safe to close your eyes, just take a moment to start breathing deeply through the nose and exhaling completely through the mouth. We're just going to do a few cycles of that. I'm just going to do one more. And you can open your eyes if your eyes were closed. It's just a way of slowing down the mind, calming and soothing the body, and getting really present. When we start to do that breath work, we're probably going to notice like where our attention is, where we're holding stress. And the body naturally knows, like, okay, I need to sort of like let it go as I'm exhaling. And it's a nice way to get, again, present. It's a mindful moment where we're checking in with our physical body. So if there's anything that feels uncomfortable or tense, now is the time to just relax it, to put that attention or intention towards whatever part of the body is feeling tense, and just allow that to like open and expand or release, to let go. This is a really good practice when things are starting to feel stressful, when things are starting to feel overwhelming. I don't know why, but our culture has gotten into this habit of like hustle and go, and we always have to be on the move, and we always have to be doing something, and we have to give it our 110% effort every time. And the reality is that's not what we should be doing. It's so depleting, and it doesn't give us an opportunity to rest and reset. So we have to actively give ourselves that permission, or to have that practice where we do sort of let it go. We do take a pause. It sort of reminds me, at some point we may have known this. At some point it may have been a practice that we had. When I think about when I would come home, upset about something when I was a little kid, if I was, mad at my brothers, or mad at, a best friend in grammar school or whatever it was, I would be running home and I would tell my mom, and I would be like out of breath, just, just kind of, not vomiting literally on her, but just vomiting it out to her, right? Getting it all out. And she would be like, okay, hold on, let's take a breath, slow it down, right? So she must have known some way of self regulating so that she was able to show me how to self regulate. So if you had a experience in your childhood where maybe a parent, caregiver, teacher, whoever was kind of in authority, didn't give you that space, didn't give you that direction of like, how do we soothe? Or maybe if you're like, I don't even give that to myself, that could be a reason why. But we have to relearn if we don't know it, or reclaim that, remember what we used to do to kind of settle ourselves. And there was a reason, right? My mom wanted to hear what I was saying. She wanted to understand what had happened. She wanted to really be able to discern, like, is this an emergency, or is this just, Mary freaking out about something? So, not that you would be dismissive if I was, but it gives the other person an opportunity to kind of catch up, to kind of get where you are, to understand what you're experiencing, and that really clear direction of like, take a breath, right? We must innately know that is going to calm us, right? My words are going to come out slower. My body's going to be a little bit more relaxed. I'm probably going to make a little bit more sense because my logical mind and emotional mind are going to be working together. So if you didn't have that opportunity as a kid to learn how to self-regulate, here's a tip on how you can start. JL says, "Go, mom." When I worked in a call center, they gave a tip to walk away too. Yeah, absolutely. Because you want to move away from whatever that thing is that's activating you, so you can bring on, like I said, that logical reasoning side of your brain. So you're not just all emotion, right? When we're all emotion, that's that's when we get ourselves into trouble. We may say things that we don't mean. We might say things that are hurtful or maybe aggressive. There's definitely a difference between being assertive and being aggressive. So we might be a little bit more aggressive with our talk. We might misplace. We might, put that whatever angst we're feeling, we might project that onto another person. So yeah, walking away is a good one. Distraction's a good one. But if you don't have that opportunity, the go-to should be breath, right? And I think it's a challenge for a lot of people. When I talk to clients about, we're going to come up with strategies of how to like manage anxiety, let's say, or panic. I do talk to them about breath, and they sort of get frustrated that it's like, well, that's sort of basic. It is and it isn't, because if it's not a practice, it's not going to come naturally to you, and it's something that you'll have to work at, right? But if your mind is still like your mind is racing, or your mind is disagreeing with what state you should be in, right? Or just wants to hold on to that anger, that frustration, it's going to be a challenge to start to think about, how do I mindfully soothe my body? So hopefully you guys have pretty good strategies. I think most people do have strategies for navigating turbulent times, but if you don't, this is a good opportunity for you to learn a little bit about what they are. There's so much energy right now that you might be impacted by, that you're not aware of. Not only what's going on in the news, when we hear about atrocities against other people, it sort of hits home of like, wow, that was a person, that was a dad or a brother or a son, or a mom, a sister, a daughter. That could have been somebody I know, somebody that I love. So I feel like there's a lot of wounding in this world, absolutely. And we can be emotionally impacted by that. We can be mentally impacted by that. It can impact our behaviors because our thoughts get impacted by that, right? So we want to be able to recognize, we want to have compassion. Of course, we want to have compassion for others, but we want to recognize, like, what is mine and what isn't mine? What do I have control of? What don't I have control of? I know you probably can't see it, but right here is the Serenity Prayer. This was kind of a foundational piece when I worked in substance abuse, because we wanted to really be able to convey to the clients how to recognize what is within our control, what isn't, and like how to let that go if it's something that we can't control. And there's wisdom in that, and there is strength and courage in that as well. But sometimes we don't always give ourselves that permission to just release and to let go. And that's one of the things that we need to do to reset ourselves. So I, of course, have stuff written down, always do, because I get off topic, forget what I'm doing, forget what I'm saying. So I'm going to pull that up. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, just put it in there. I feel like this week in particular, maybe last week too, probably the last few weeks, it has just been a funky energy for me. There's been a mix of like fear and anger and feeling a little bit of hopelessness, because I think there continues to be a little bit of misinformation. There seems to be a lot of aggression. Sometimes there isn't support and guidance that we're needing from people in authority, or wherever it might be. And I think that can really rattle our cage, or at least it rattles my cage. And I get in that state of emotion, and it's like, okay, hold on. This isn't the complete story. This isn't the ending, right? Hopefully, Hopefully, it doesn't feel like it is, but and it usually isn't, right? We usually are missing some pieces, and we're forgetting a lot of the amazing potential that we have as humans when it comes to resiliency and hope and personal power. We have ability, hopefully, to unify and to come together in community. We have ability to create safety, to direct our actions in a way that does feel fulfilling or feels like it's kind of meeting a need that we have. So um, just know that if you've been feeling it, if you've been feeling stressed or overwhelmed or even confused about like, what is my next step? Maybe there has been an ending for you. Maybe some things have been wrapping up, but it doesn't feel like, okay, but like now what? Like it's okay. I know it doesn't feel okay all the time to be there, but I'm here to say it usually is going to be fine in the end. It's usually for your highest good. I know you don't want to hear that when you're in the mix. Releasing something that you care about or letting go of something that you loved or knew or was familiar can be super challenging. I know this. I definitely know this from my own personal experience and working with people, but it's usually for our highest good. And, we don't know what that is till we get there. We're like, this is why that was what it was. So, with this, I just want to talk a little bit about what we can do like in those turbulent times, in those stressful moments, when energies are really influencing us, and it's usually something that's a little bit in the subconscious, unconscious. It's usually not like we know, oh, this is it. It can be pretty subtle. But one of the things is when we start to have thoughts of feeling hopeless, of feeling pretty helpless, we can get stuck there. It's very easy to. We want to start thinking about how can I choose to seek out things that feel hopeful, like giving ourselves that permission. So we're not going to be like washing away or head in the sand that something, a struggle is happening, or there's pain in the world or whatever it might be. We're not saying that we're going to just say, oh, it doesn't have or it doesn't exist. I'm not going to think about it, so it's gone. But what I'm saying is we need to think about where we get hope from. Where does that, kind of um, sprout from, I don't know, blossom, bloom from within us or from something external? Because then we're going to actually shift into more of a movement, more of an action than if we're stuck in that, oh my gosh, things are so terrible, right? When we're stuck in that, when we feel hopeless or helpless, it doesn't feel like there's anything that we have in our toolbox, a strategy to sort of lift ourselves up. When we tap into hope, when we think about what if I chose to be hopeful, right? What if I make that choice? Choose? I don't know, whatever. We're going to see a shift in the energy because we go from feeling very small and constricted to a little bit more expansive. And that's when those thoughts come of like, what can I move? What can I move towards? Um, Thanks, JL says, I love that. Your channel is a great source of hope. Thanks. Um, that's very nice. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's important not to forget about the other side. And we just did a little bit of work with shadow. It's a great time to do shadow work, actually. And so things might be coming up for people right now if they are doing shadow work. Shadow work for the next few weeks, actually, is probably a good thing. If you don't know what shadow work is, I will put a link in the description about a blog I just did on shadow. And I don't think if I've recorded my shadow meditation, I will put it up there too. If I haven't, I will somehow get it out to the world. But this is that time where we sort of challenge, what's in shadow, and well, I'm going to get to that a little bit later, but we send a little bit of love and compassion and kindness to ourselves, especially to that aspect of shadow. So knowing that things can feel dire, but that, again, this might just be a temporary state. It might not be the state that we're always going to be in. it's a hard one to think about when we're going through a struggle, when we're feeling insecure, or when we're questioning ourselves, questioning our ability. I'm going to challenge people, though, to start thinking about how they can share either their unique gifts or talents with others. So when we're feeling like, oh, I stink at everything, or like, oh, I don't know enough, or I don't have anything to offer. You actually do. It always amazes me when clients are like, "Oh, I don't have any gifts and talents," or whatever language they're going to use in saying that, and I'm like, "What?" And I can think of like 5 or 6 things that, like, "Oh my gosh, I totally know somebody who could benefit from what you know about this," or what you know about this could be shared in such a lovely way that it would really support other people. So think about your gifts, your skills, your talents, and how you can share them with others. There is such an amazing feeling that we get when we donate our time, when we donate our energy, when we donate our knowledge. Yeah, we can donate our money too. That is supporting other people, I'm sure. We can do that too. If that is your gift, if that is your skill or talent, that I've amassed money and I want to give it to, good charitable causes, yeah, that still counts. But if you don't have that, how else can I give back? Not only are you going to help support another person, you end up feeling really good. It just feels good to connect and help and support another person. So that is one thing that I'm going to encourage everybody to start thinking about when they hit those tricky spots in their life, when it feels a little bit turbulent, of like, how do I give back? Even when it feels like I don't really have a whole lot. I'll just give a quick example. I used to have a client that we did sliding scale fee when I worked in not-for-profits. People have probably heard this story before, but she was only a couple dollars. It was a couple dollars per session. She would come in with change. She would have change that she would give me as like the money. Um, she was not financially stable, we'll say, and she wasn't working at the time, but she would count her change. And it was interesting because I felt like, okay, that was like a gift, right? It's an exchange for us. But then I was talking to her about like, oh man, this has to be really difficult for you. And now, granted, I was pretty young at the time. I was probably in my like early 20s, mid to late 20s. But I would talk to her about like, oh yeah, so you have no money. That must, that must stink, right? And she would tell me, though, about how much work she did for her church, how much she volunteered within her community. And I was like, this is absolutely amazing. Like, here's this woman that doesn't really have financial means, but she knows somebody else is in need of something that she can provide. So I just want you to not discount what you know, what you have, what you can give, because it's going to mean the world to somebody else. I guarantee it. All right. So, one of the things that I started to do, and anyone in a Soul Journey group coaching membership, JL, I know you know this, start to create a new routine, schedule, or structure for yourself. I've been thinking about this for a while. There's been sort of a shakeup in like what patterns have not been working for me. This is the time to kind of think about that because we just had a little bit. One of the planets was in retrograde and now it's starting to move direct. And so it sort of was that time of like, okay, so we really got to see those unhealthy or toxic patterns, relationships that we engage in, or just habits that we continue to do. Like, where do we need to put, they say like when the rubber meets the road, right? Where do we need to start walking our walk, right? Talking our talk, walking our walk. Where do we need to start doing that? And this is something that I've been thinking about for myself, of like, I constantly say a couple things and I'm like, I need to put that into action. I need to create a new routine. I need to create a new structure, or a new schedule for myself. And I encourage you to think about that as well. Like, what have I been talking about? What do my friends and family hear me say all the time that I'm not doing, but I want to do? This is the time to do that. And when we're really feeling like we're stuck in a rut, in that messy middle, it's hard to think about a different way. But you can almost just flip it around. If I was doing the thing that I say I want to do, what would it look like? How would that feel? Where would I start? If you're struggling to even get to that point, you can reach out either to myself or to another, professional or practitioner, and see about like how can somebody support you with kind of weeding through all of that. The other thing we want to start doing within turbulent times is start really supporting our personal power. And so I'm down by my solar plexus, a little bit above your belly button, solar plexus. How can I really support my personal power? How can I really be able to put that out into the world, not only for others, but for myself or yourself, for making really supportive decisions that are going to lead you to that place you want to be. I don't like where I am. I want to be somewhere else. Okay, I need to make some different choices, right? So really starting to, how do I support my personal power? This could be where shadow comes in. This might be something that needs to be worked through, something that needs to be seen fully in the light of day. See that it's not so much of a monster as we make it out to be, and then we're able to send some love and compassion there and sort of move forward. Another way. Oh, yeah. Well, yes. I wrote this down, but I'm always like, nah, I mean, yes and no. Identify opportunities to be a leader or a helper. So that's sort of with sharing your gifts and talents, but also like a variation of that. That's why I was like, oh yeah. Seek opportunities for where you can get help, where you can get support, where you can go to somebody that's already been through what you're going through and seek out leadership in that moment. When we're in that emotional state where we can't really make what I feel are really solid, rational, logical choices for ourselves, sometimes we need to be guided there by someone that you trust, someone that's safe, someone that's not going to manipulate you or, create any harm for you. But seek out people that are available, loving, supportive, willing to guide, whatever it might be. Again, it could be a practitioner. I don't know what my problem is with words today. Could be oh my gosh, could be a practitioner or a professional, or it could just be somebody in your life, a close friend, a close family member, whatever that might be. Seek out ways to ground and to balance, to get back to center. And we're going to do that. We did that with breath. JL said, walk away, right? Use some distraction. Again, the nice thing about walking away is you're kind of physically getting that energy out, right? But find those opportunities. So whether it's taking a walk in nature, whether it's, going, I don't know, for me, it's just going into like a quiet meditative state. It could be breath work. It could be journaling. It could be anything like we've talked in the past about baking or gardening. Depends on where you live right now, probably, but, gardening, anything, arts and crafts, sewing, whatever it might be. Just finding something that helps you quiet, helps you release some of that tension or stress. So anything that's kind of grounding is a really important to do. And I'm going to help you with a little strategy for grounding. I like it. And with anything else in this world, take what resonates, leave the rest, right? Maybe it doesn't apply to you, or maybe it all these things that I'm listing, maybe not every one is something that you're going to do. I just want to give you a bunch of options so that the one that you're like, yeah, I could do that. The one that feels like, that's so not me, or that's so not where I'm at, don't do it. I just want to throw them all out there, and then you can kind of choose what works for you. Seeking truth and clarity of helpful information. That's that's like probably a whole nother story. I feel like there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of opinions out there. And maybe having an opportunity to not so much fact check or go to Google, I was going to say, not so much seek it out that way, but go within and really check in with yourself of like, what do I know to be true about myself or my situation? Gain a little bit of clarity by checking in with your intuition and really obviously supporting that your intuition is not going to lead you astray. It's not going to point you in the wrong direction. And sometimes we kind of know anyways. We just are somewhat in denial, somewhat resistant, right, to really looking at what do I know to be true. And again, if it's something in shadow, think about doing a little bit of shadow work. If it's something that, I don't want to look at this because I feel like it's going to be too painful, bring it to somebody that can support that, right? It often ends up being not as big as we make it out to be. Sometimes things are really, really big. I'm not going to argue that. But a lot of the littler things that end up feeling very big to us can sort of get softened or dampened or even released when we just start focusing our attention on it and look at it from a realistic point of view. So, just like with choosing hope, choose to be brave, choose to be courageous, tap into your inner reserve of strength, right? I'm going to do something that I've never done before because I know I need change, right? Give yourself a little bit of that boost. What would it look like if I was courageous? What would it look like if I used my inner strength? How would I obviously feel? I would feel, it's not a feeling, but good. I would feel empowered. I would feel excited. I would feel like there was movement, like I was taking action. So just think about like, what would bravery in this situation look like? Or what would courage look like? What would strength look like? You still have it. It's still within you. It just might feel a little bit wobbly when we're going through stressful, turbulent times. And the last one I know is a really hard one, especially if we're suffering, but having a practice of gratitude. So tapping into what we're grateful for, having a way of honoring that, whether we're writing it down, whether we're telling another person, whether we're just, offering it up during meditation or prayer, whatever it might be, having that practice because, even in the darkest of days, there's usually a little bit of light, right? And where can we see that? How can we find that? How can we shift our focus from all the things that haven't been going right to the things that have? When we shift that focus, it's going to grow. We're going to see more things that we're thankful for, more things that we're grateful for, more opportunities, more, I don't know, just more of that, right? Whatever we focus on grows. So when we are feeling depleted or when we're feeling nervous or scared or fearful or whatever it is about whatever stress we're going through, if we keep focusing on that, everything is going to fall into that bucket. Everything is scary. Everything is overwhelming. Nothing is going right for me. But when we look at like, okay, but what has gone okay? What is all right? There's some things that are there. So we just have to really shift that over. We actively make that choice to shift it over. So those are my big tips for navigating turbulent times. And as you will notice, if you've listened to me before or have worked with me before, there's a lot of similar strategies that are going to come up over and over and over because not only are they well researched, not only do we know that they help, but there are things that I've done for myself. I know that they have value. I know that there is worth in doing these, worth putting effort and energy into these things. So, practice them as they resonate for you. If you've never tried any of these, pick one and think about like how can you incorporate into your day, into your week, into your month, whatever it might be. That is beautiful. Oh, thanks. Finding gratitude is so grounding to the present. It is. Yeah. The world is on fire. Yeah. Yes, the world is on fire, but outside my window, birds are singing. I love that. The world really is on fire. It is crazy right now. So, yeah, I think it's like, how can you find those things? How can you find the things that make you feel good, right? Are either centering, grounding, help you balance, help you feel alive, help you feel excited, connected, whatever that thing is that's missing. Gratitude is usually that link back to, oh, wait, it's not that it's missing, it's that I'm just not paying any attention to it, right? I'm not giving it its fair due. I don't know. There is a big shift that happens, and you're absolutely right. With grounding, we become more present because we have to tune out all the extraneous stuff, all the what ifs, or all the things that we're upset about that we didn't do in the past, and we just focus on the right now. that is a wonderful way, being present, using a little bit of mindfulness to release any of our stress, tension, worry, anxiety, being present. And again, that's a challenge because society says keep going, keep thinking about that next task, get to your to-do list, right? So that can be really stressful as well. But staying in the present is usually where we're able to kind of release some of our stuff. So hopefully that is helpful. um I don't know how, I can't describe how I'm feeling about either the full moon and the lunar eclipse, or what my next, I don't know, evolution is going to be. I mean, I know the big picture, right? I know where I'm hoping to move towards. I know what I want to move away from. But I think right now it's a lot of trees. It's the big forest. And I haven't seen that one tree, like, or that path, right? So I feel like when you're in that spot of like not really knowing, it can feel really discombobulating, right? So try to use some of these practices and hopefully things shift for you. So, one of the things that I do, I always say I cheat because I use Reiki. I use Reiki to help myself ground or release. I use Reiki to help me go within, to tap into my inner wisdom, to tap into intuition. I feel like it's that all-purpose all-purpose cleanser, right? It just does everything for me. There's other strategies obviously I use, but that's the way that I start. And so I'm going to share a little bit of Reiki with you, and we're going to infuse the Reiki into a little bit of meditation and grounding, just to kind of get you back to that place that feels good within, or hopefully it feels good within. I mean, that's the goal. So if you have another opportunity, if it's in a safe place, you're not driving or doing anything, no operating heavy machinery, or caring for somebody that needs your constant attention, go ahead and get comfortable again. I'm going to light a little bit of sage again. I'm taking that in. I'm like, oh, that smells so good. I grabbed spray. I actually have spray for the solar plexus. And I grabbed it, and I don't know what I did with it. It may have gone with me in the other room and not come back. So I was going to have a little bit of spray. You can have many tools that you work with for grounding. There's no limit on the things that you can blend together. The things that you feel are helpful for you, use those. So I like to actually incorporate most of my senses. So I like to have something burning. I like to have the tactile feeling the spray, hearing the spray, or if I'm using oils, the scent of the oil that I'm using. It really is helpful. You can use crystals. I always have a bunch of crystals around me. You can use something that you can physically feel. You can feel the weight in your hand. That's a good way also of getting present, of grounding yourself. You can set that intention that you're using a crystal to release, or whatever it might be. So I'm going to incorporate most of those, apparently not the spray. So I don't know where it went. So take a moment, close your eyes if you can. If you're not in a place where you can, I always tell people, this is one thing with meditation. If it doesn't feel safe to close your eyes, or if you're not in a place where you can, just allow your eyes to soften. Just what that means is looking, you don't want to have something like close to your face. So don't focus on your computer or phone or tablet or whatever you're using. Focus on a point across the room. And softening your eyes basically just means you're not staring at it, you're just sort of gazing at it. And you just allow the eyes to relax a little bit. So you can do that as well if it doesn't feel safe to close your eyes. So I always like to start with a little bit of breath, especially because I was talking. I'll be talking a little bit quieter, so I'll bring the microphone a little bit closer to me. For me, getting centered, balancing, getting grounded, there's a little bit of steps to it. There's a little bit of ritual to it. We start with closing the eyes. We connect to the body with breath. Just starting to calm the mind. And then you can invite in, if you have particular guides, particular guardians that you work with, any elementals, any animals, Reiki guides, spirit guides, of course. This is the time of the year in the Northern Hemisphere in the autumn to start connecting to ancestors for their wisdom, not to reconnect to trauma. Any ascended masters or angels or goddesses. Just taking a moment to connect, invite in that energy. If you don't have any of those, if there's not a practice that you have right now, just invite in whatever you want to call it. Energy of peace, energy of support, energy of guidance, inner strength or wisdom. Whatever state you want to be in, just give yourself that permission to call that in. And sometimes we can feel a shift in the energy of the room, feel a shift in our own energy. And if you don't feel that, that's okay. Just know by setting that intention allows it to be. Just creating space for it. And you don't have to be trained in Reiki or attuned in Reiki to receive the benefits, obviously. Well, not obviously. Some people don't know that. It's okay. I'm going to start sending Reiki. Just setting your intention that you're open to receiving. If you have a particular intention for yourself about navigating turbulent times, stressful periods, anything that you've been struggling with, the messy middle, you can set that intention now. It can be anything like relief, tapping into hope or gratitude, tapping into your inner strength or wisdom, allowing yourself to see or receive those messages for those next steps for you, whatever intention makes sense for you in this time. Just allowing that Reiki energy to fill your energetic body. As the light grows, the shadow gets smaller. It's especially important during turbulent times to have that practice or tool or strategy of grounding. So just imagine your roots. I imagine them as roots. You don't have to. Just imagine any sort of cord or root from either below your first chakra or from the bottoms of your feet, whichever is easier to imagine. Just extending down from the body, through the floor, extending down to the foundation of the building you're in. Into the top layers of the soil. Just extending them deeper and deeper into the earth. Imagining Mother Earth is ready to receive your grounding cords or roots. She is able to receive anything that you're ready to release. Any thoughts or feelings, habits or behaviors that haven't been serving you during turbulent times. There is a process of needing to release, so we make room, so we can receive. Sometimes if we're feeling disconnected, or feeling like we don't have that connection to a higher power, to the universe, to spirit, however you conceptualize that, it feels like we are an untethered balloon. So we want to make sure we have that grounding, but we also want to have that connection. Feel like there's something supporting you. It's almost like balancing that energy from the root, the energy of the crown. Just allowing the Reiki to cleanse and clear whatever needs to be released. Normally, if we're doing Reiki, I have a piece of paper to write my stuff down, but I'm just going to say what I'm thinking. But I keep seeing like a pink hippo, which I don't even think hippos are pink. I think they're like brownish or grayish. Just allowing the Reiki to go to the third eye. Tapping into your intuition. Having clarity for yourself. Knowing that if you don't see your path quite yet, or the steps on your path quite yet, they're coming. During those turbulent times, we're sort of asked to have trust or faith that it will get better, that it will pass. Just allowing yourself to lean into that hope. Releasing any fear. Releasing any communication that hasn't felt productive. Any aggressive words, hurtful words, either that you spoke or were spoken to you out of fear. or hurt. Maybe when you felt unsteady or wobbly. Just releasing that. Without judging or criticizing yourself. I shouldn't have said that, or why did I do that? Just release that. It doesn't help us. It's not productive. I did it and now I can learn, right? I can choose a different way next time. But also start to notice how you're talking to yourself or how you've been talking to yourself. If it hasn't felt loving or compassionate, if you're not talking to yourself in a loving and compassionate way, it's so hard to talk to somebody else in a loving and compassionate way. How can I express my appreciation for myself? Again, tapping into those gifts and talents, the skills that you have. You have them. We all do. Moving down to the heart chakra. Just release any pain. Turbulent times tends to stir up stuff from the past. I've felt this before. I've experienced this. Or then maybe there's the not knowing. I've never had this happen. I don't know how to get out of this. Again, without judgment and criticism. If you've never been in a situation like this, how would you know how to navigate it? You wouldn't. We all deserve kindness and compassion. We all deserve love. There's nothing that we have to do for it. We have to, make some sort of a... we don't have to meet a criteria. We're deserving of it because we're here, because we exist. Release any thoughts or feelings or behaviors about like transactional love. Like, I will give them this if they do this for me. Yeah, that's not love. That's manipulation. We don't want that. Just release that. Moving down to the solar plexus. Who's managing your personal power? Is it you? Are you allowing somebody else to manage it? What would it feel like to stand in your power? To make decisions that felt courageous, that felt brave, that felt really supportive and true to you, who you are at your core. Not other people's perception of you, but who you truly are. What would that feel like? It'd be pretty amazing. You can always release anything through your grounding cord. with breath. Just letting it go. And during turbulent times, we often forget it's okay if we feel happy. It's okay to feel joyful or blissful. We can feel sad, but find humor. There's always that duality. Just giving ourselves that permission to open up the sacral chakra so that we can receive joy, can tap into some of that Taurus energy and enjoy the pleasures of life. Enjoy that great meal or nice drink, whether it's tea or something else, right? Reminding yourself that you're, again, deserving and worthy of joy. And it's something you can experience. And let's go down and imagine at your root chakra, so the base of your spine. Allowing any stress from turbulence to be released. And allowing some affirming thoughts to sort of imprint on your energy. I recognize my needs for safety and comfort. I choose to meet my needs in a healthy and supportive way. I honor my mind, body, and spirit's need for rest. We have to allow the body to catch up. I deserve time for quiet, time to reset. When I take the time to go within and ground, I can return to inner balance. Because truly, I'm at my most centered when I take time to go within and ground. And I don't need to fix or solve all of the problems. But maybe for yourself, you can tap into creative solutions. Solutions that meet your needs. Listening intuitively to yourself to find those solutions. You're only responsible for yourself if you're an adult that's not caring for a young child or an elder. I know that one's hard sometimes. I trust my wisdom to see what I can control and what I can't. I release the stuff that I can't control. I give myself permission to have fun. I can tap into gratitude and release some of the overwhelm that I feel. And know that I'm hopeful. I'm strong. I'm resilient. Just release it all down that grounding cord. Take a deep breath in. We're going to just seal it in with a little sound. It's just a little sound. And know that you will get through the turbulent times. You will. It may not feel like it now, but you will. And when we go back to, I call it like my going back to the basics, we go back to the things that really feel like, yeah, I know how to do this, or I know what's helpful for me. I know how to get grounded. I know how to tap in to the things that help me feel centered or help me feel balanced. Things open up for us. And the things that we're feeling turbulent, or the things that we're feeling scary because of there may have been so much unknown, or just funky unsteady energy, it starts to feel a little bit more firm, right? We feel like we got our footing, and then we can start taking those steps towards whatever our newest direction is. So hopefully that was helpful. You are welcome to bring the body back, or your attention back to your body, the attention back to the present. Sometimes if our eyes are closed or body still, we need to move our fingers and toes to kind of wake up. But whatever you need to do that. Your Reiki words are so powerful and calming. Thank you. This is one I'll often replay and share. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think it's hard because we get so frazzled. We get so I get deer in the headlights, but we can feel very stuck, very frozen, and depending on how we naturally respond, or maybe not naturally is the best word, but how we respond typically to moments where we get activated. So if you think about fight, flight, fight, freeze, or fawn, right? Depending on how we naturally react, you might get aggressive with that fight. You might completely shut down. You might run away. You might be like, oh, please love me, right? And go to that other person and just not want them to, I don't know, release you because you're afraid that bond will be broken or whatever. But thinking about how you naturally go through kind of that turbulence energetically, right, gives you a little bit of information about what is the antidote to that? How can I master that? How can I think about a response versus a reactivity? So it's good to do a little bit of the practices, whatever works for you. I mean, you don't have to do all of them. Pick and choose whatever works for you. Test it out. Don't do one and done. Oh, that didn't work one time, so I'm never going to do it again. That doesn't work. We have to practice. You have to practice it. So if you want to stick with one, do one for a few days to a week or more, and see then does it work. Don't do something one time and be like, nope, it didn't work, or nope, it's not something that I'm good at, or I'm not able to work through. You got to do it for a little bit. And then you got to wait for the response time, right? Usually it's not like instantaneously, like, oh, I've done this one thing and everything has shifted and everything is back to normal. It may not. It may take a little bit of time. And especially with this period of just energetic shifts, it might take a little bit of time, at least, a couple weeks or whatever. But know that this, again, just like with when I was talking a few weeks about the new moon and solar eclipse, some people felt like energized and ready to take action. They were coming up with their plan. They were ready. And some people, I was on the other side. I really needed to rest. I just needed time to sort of recalibrate and sort of allow everything that had been coming to me to sort of get integrated within. And then I could feel like I could take some action. So just know with this energy too, you might be feeling one or the others. One or the other. You might want to like kind of nest. You might want to do something really cozy, really comfortable. You may want to treat yourself to something nice, something of beauty or something that you enjoy. Or you might feel like I'm ready for that new structure, that new routine. I'm ready to start this new plan. And you might feel really energized to do it. So either way is fine. There's no right or wrong, especially when it comes to what is right for you, right? You are the one that should be able to determine how you want to take those next steps. You should be able to determine what's that next course of action or not, or non-action. It's okay to do non-action too. So yeah, hopefully it was helpful. I always love to pull a card. I'm going to pull a card real quick. I know we're over. Time is just not my thing. I don't know if I run on like strange time. I don't know. I just feel like, oh, I want my other deck. I just feel like time. I have no idea. I have no answer for that. I don't know. It's all right. If you got to go, you got to go. It's okay. I know I kept you for an hour. But what do we need to know about either what came up for us or what's about to come up for us, especially during, that Reiki or that meditative time, especially if anything resonated or anything kind of stuck out to you as like, oh, I need to pay attention to this. What do we need to know? Or maybe, yeah, we'll just keep it simple. We'll just keep it. What do we need to know? Okay. So just knocked all of my cards out of here. I love the extra time. It's a gift. Okay, good. Good. Oh, I pulled it upside down, but I love it. I love what it is. Pachamama. We were just talking about Earth. So if you don't know, if you're like, who the heck is Pachamama? Mother Earth. Gaia. How do we need to incorporate Earth? Taurus is a good way of thinking about it. I know somebody had mentioned that they were going to do some forest bathing as part of their grounding. So that is great that card is here. So I'll just read. So this is a shamanic deck. This is Mystic Shaman Oracle. Yeah. And so I don't always like giving my 2 cents. I like to read it to everybody so they can kind of take away what they like, what resonates, and then kind of leave in the rest. So Pachamama, who represents the unconditional love that the earth has for all of her children, including the stones, the plants, the animals, and humans. She is a goddess of earth. She's also known as Gaia, who pervades all of creation in our planet. Thanks to Pachamama, our timeless soul can experience life in a biological body. The joy and pain we taste during our brief time on earth are invitations to discover the boundless love of Pachamama. And we grounded, right? I didn't have you release your grounding because you might need to walk through the day with it, and that's okay. You can set that intention to release it, or you can stay connected. Now that we get this card, I'm like, oh, I'm glad I didn't have you disconnect. You are a child of earth. Now is the time to eat right. Oh, that's one of my things. Love right. Oh, we got that earlier this week for the membership. And be joyous. Yes. Regardless of the circumstances you might find yourself in, be grateful for your life, your body, and all that nourishes you. Pachamama invites you to relish each breath, embrace your joy and your pain equally. That's hard. That's shadow and light. And discover loving through both. Oh, that is, I guess I should have waited till I finished that sentence. Let Pachamama know how much you appreciate all of her blessings with an act of service, such as planting a tree, helping save an endangered species, or protecting the ocean. And even if it feels like that's too big, maybe donate to a local shelter or pass along some information that you know, or help somebody out that has something going on with their yard or their animal. You still believe that you have been cast out of the Garden of Eden, that you are motherless and homeless. You suppose that you need to work very hard to survive, to thrive. It is time to stop suffering. Let go of that old myth and realize you were given the garden to rejoice in and to become the steward. I think that's really important. Your melancholy is really a longing to return to the heart of Pachamama. Listen deeply to the mother who is always there for you. Walk in beauty and honor all life. I love that, especially with so much stuff that's going on. So many people uh, doing hard things, damaging things, and I think this is just really nice to say that, like, when we do feel alone or when we do feel like we don't have resources given to us, we do. Pachamama is there to provide. And I always, so when I pull things upside down, you kind of have, sometimes there's a different message, a different meaning for that, but maybe it's just time to look at areas that you hadn't been doing that. How can I? What is my relationship, either to the earth, to myself, feeling that connection, whatever it might be, knowing that I do want to connect to all things. All things have energy, all things on this earth. So that's a really cool one. That's awesome. That's a really nice bookend to. And if you're, I know there's only probably a few people that are on that are part of the membership, but if you're part of my membership, that's one thing that we do. We're pulling cards at the beginning of the week to understand the energy that we're working with. We're doing a series of 3 cards. And this was a really nice bookend for like what we were talking about at the beginning. So, and I think, shadow came up, and tapping into gifts and talents and resources and giving back, that came up. So all the things that we talked about, grounding, letting go, releasing, feeling connected, feeling held and received, those are all the things that we sort of talked about, or I talked about, with like, creating strategies for moving through turbulent times. It's in this card. It's in this one card. So pretty awesome. So thank you for being here with me. If you do need a little bit of support, I don't know what was my deal with saying practitioner, but that was hard to say earlier today. But if you do need support, reach out to me. There's lots of different ways to work with me. If you're wondering about the Soul Journey group coaching membership, you can join for the rest of autumn. There's just, you would get like a reduced rate, but you'd get access to all the past things. And then you would be able to participate with us, because the membership is doing something fun. We're going to connect to our ancestors this Sunday, actually, with the thinning of the veil. We're going to connect to our ancestors, really reflect on their wisdom, and be able to release some, if there is any ancestral trauma, begin that process of releasing. And I know it's an important thing. Again, it's not a one and done thing. Just like working with shadows, not one and done. Working through our turbulent times is not one and done. So, if that's something that you're interested in doing, check it out. Go on my website, sign up for it. We're doing that this Sunday. And then I think we have 3 more, I want to say 3 more group coaching, live coaching. I can't remember. And then we're going to do a November Sacred Circle, which is on Sundays, one time a month. It's the energy that I pick some cards to figure out what's going on with the energy, who's here to support us for that. And then it's a special theme that we're working on. So last time, October's, we did shadow work. So, we do a little bit of Reiki, or I provide Reiki. We do guided meditation, and then, a card, an oracle card to see what we need to do, what we need to know for ourselves moving forward with that energy. So that's once a month. I love that. That's one of my favorite things that I do. I think membership is now my favorite thing because I get to combine all of it together. It's so fun. So we're going to do a couple fun things still in the autumn membership, and then we'll have a couple weeks off, a little pause, and then we'll go into winter. It's not a you just pay, ongoing or whatever. You just pick what you want to attend. If it's a seasonal, if you want to do the whole year, you're more than welcome to do that. There is an option for that. You get everything obviously at a reduced price if you do like the big one, but you can always do just seasonally. So I'm starting to think about what we need to be working on for winter. It will be rest. It will be a little bit of the endings, a little bit of going within. So I'm starting to just kind of play around with the energy of the season. So still having fun with autumn, even though some of it's heavy. I know. How can you have fun with shadow? It's good because I know healing is getting done. It's good because or it's fun, or it's exciting to me because I know I'm continuing to grow, and I know you would be continuing to grow as well if you did a little bit of that work too. So just fun. This was amazing. Thank you. So excited for me too. So excited for Sunday. And I'm going to give you guys a fun strategy to clear out energy that so cool. So fun. So will be awesome. So if there's anything that you need, reach out to me. I'll try to put some links in there that I talked about. I know the blog, and I don't know where my meditation is, so I'm going to have to find that. But I'll put that in the description too later. But I hope everybody has a fabulous weekend, and take care.